All right, listener. So let's dive right in to a scenario that's probably got everyone talking Donald Trump back in the White House.
Back in the White House, yeah.
We're going to break down the global reactions to this totally unexpected win.
Definitely unexpected.
And you've given us a really interesting mix of sources here.
Yeah.
CBS News, Al Jazeera, TVN24, and Newsweek.
Wow.
All focusing on how world leaders and governments are responding to...
Yeah, it's safe to say the world is kind of holding its breath.
Yeah.
Watching to see what a second Trump presidency actually means for the global stage.
Okay, so let's start with those initial reactions.
Sure.
What was the overall vibe? Expert speaker. Was it a collective gasp, a sigh of relief, or something in between?
You know, it's actually fascinating. It was such a mixed bag of emotions, which you'd expect with a figure like Trump.
Right.
Some countries, like Israel, were quick to celebrate.
Oh, really?
Netanyahu didn't even wait. He immediately congratulated Trump, calling it history's greatest comeback.
Wow.
According to both CBS and Al Jazeera.
History's greatest comeback.
Yeah.
That's quite the statement.
It is.
Why do you think he's so enthusiastic?
Right.
What's the context behind this strong reaction?
Well, you can't ignore the current state of affairs in the Middle East.
Right.
Tensions have been escalating between the U.S. and Israel under the Biden administration.
Okay.
Particularly regarding the conflict with Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon.
Right, and speaking of complex situations, Ukraine's reaction was interesting too.
Yes.
Zelensky offered congratulations.
He did.
But CBS picked up on some underlying anxiety there.
Oh, really?
He highlighted Trump's peace through strength approach.
Right.
But there are definitely concerns about potential cuts to U.S. support for their war effort against Russia.
And remember, earlier this year, Zelensky issued a stark warning
He did.
to CBS saying a Russian victory could have direct implications for Americans.
Oh, wow.
So this makes the situation even more precarious. What are your thoughts on this, listener?
Yeah.
Do you think a second Trump presidency will lead to a shift in U.S. policy toward Ukraine?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not just those directly involved who are reacting. Major players like China, Russia, and the EU kept their initial statements pretty neutral. Almost playing it close to the chest.
Exactly.
CBS and Al Jazeera both highlighted that wait-and-see approach.
Exactly. But sometimes what's not said is just as important as what IS said.
Right.
I think they're all busy assessing the situation, trying to decipher what this means for their own interests and how it might reshape global power dynamics.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like everyone's just kind of watching, waiting for Trump's next move.
Yeah.
And this is where we start to see those potential flashpoints.
Ooh, flashpoints. That sounds a little ominous.
Whoa.
Where are we seeing these potential flashpoints?
Mexico is one area that immediately comes to mind.
Oh, really?
CBS reported that Trump has already threatened a 25% tariff
Wow.
on Mexican imports unless they do something to stop the flow of criminals and drugs across the border.
Tariffs, a classic Trump tactic. But it seems Mexico isn't too rattled, at least not outwardly. Both CBS and Al Jazeera noted their response, which was essentially no cause for concern. Do you think that's just a poker face, or do they have a strategy here?
I think it's probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
You know, Mexico knows that a trade war wouldn't benefit anyone.
Right.
Their economy is going to suffer, and it'll impact the U.S. economy as well.
Right.
They're likely banking on Trump not actually following through.
Yeah.
But they also have to project strength, especially for their own citizens.
Yeah.
You know, they can't appear weak or easily intimidated.
It's a delicate balancing act, for sure.
Yeah.
And speaking of delicate situations, let's shift our focus to Taiwan and China. Taiwan sent congratulations to Trump.
Yeah.
But his past stance on defending them against potential Chinese invasion was, well, ambiguous to say the least.
Very ambiguous.
CBS even brought this up. Do you think this could become a major point of tension in the coming months or years?
Absolutely. China's been getting more and more assertive towards Taiwan.
Right.
And, you know, Trump is so unpredictable, it could embolden them to really test the boundary.
Yeah.
We might see an uptick in military activity near the island.
Oh, wow.
Maybe even economic sanctions as a way to kind of exert pressure.
It's a situation with potentially huge global ramifications.
Okay.
And while we're talking about potential hotspots, Iran's reaction is particularly intriguing. Al Jazeera reported that they're downplaying the impact of Trump's return, claiming U.S. policy won't really change.
Right.
But CBS noted that their currency took a nosedive, and some Iranians are worried about a return to those maximum pressure sanctions that Trump was known for.
What's your take on this expert speaker? Is Iran putting on a brave face? Or are they genuinely unconcerned?
Well, it makes sense they'd try to project an image of stability,
Right.
especially given their economy's in such a fragile state already.
Yeah.
They don't want to appear vulnerable. But realistically, a return to strict sanctions could cripple them.
Right.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
A tougher stance on Iran could ripple outward, increasing tensions throughout the Middle East and potentially impacting global oil prices.
Wow.
What do you think about that, listener? How do you see this all playing out?
It's a reminder that global politics are like a giant web tug on one strand, and you feel the vibrations everywhere. And it's not just about these specific hotspots. We also need to consider the broader implications for global alliances and the overall economy.
Right. NATO offered congratulations to Trump.
They did.
But let's not forget his previous criticisms of NATO members' defense spending.
Right.
CBS pointed this out as a potential source of tension.
Yeah. Trump's not exactly known for holding back his opinions.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to financial contributions. Could this lead to fractures within the alliance? And if so, how might that impact European security?
It's a valid concern. Trump has made it clear that he expects NATO allies to shoulder more of the financial burden, and he's not afraid of confrontation. To get his point across, if he pushes too hard, it could weaken the alliance, potentially creating an opening for Russia to assert itself more aggressively.
And of course, we can't ignore the economic elephant in the room.
Right.
Trump is well known for his protectionist policies and his America First agenda. Those trade wars he started, they really shook things up.
They did.
What do you think, expert speaker? Could we be headed for round two?
It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
Trump's economic policies often put American interests first.
Right.
Even if it meant kind of disrupting global trade and cooperation,
Right.
we could see a rise in tariffs again and trade barriers, and that would definitely have a ripple effect on the global economy.
Yeah. No one wins in a trade war.
Nope.
But it seems like that's a lesson we might have to relearn.
It does seem that way.
With all this talk about potential conflicts and economic uncertainty, I'm curious about what a second Trump presidency could mean for the Palestinian question.
Yeah.
CBS reported that both the Palestinian Authority and Hamas offered congratulations, emphasizing their desire for an independent Palestinian state, given Trump's past strong support for Israel. Do you see any realistic chance for progress on this front?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Trump's previous approach was very much centered on strengthening the U.S.-Israel relationship,
Right.
often at the expense of Palestinian interests. So it's hard to imagine a sudden shift towards a two-state solution.
Yeah.
But maybe this is an opportunity for the international community to step up,
Yeah.
to play a more active role in mediating the conflict.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds. One election has the potential to reshape the entire global landscape. It
Absolutely.
really highlights the interconnectedness of everything.
It really does. And you know what? One final thought I'd like to leave you with, listener.
Okay.
Think about how domestic politics in other countries might interact with this new reality.
Yeah.
Will leaders like Orban in Hungary, who openly supported Trump, become even more emboldened? And how will all of this impact the global balance of power in the long run? These are the questions we'll all be grappling with in the months and years to come.
So much to think about. It's like we've opened Pandora's box of global reactions and we're just beginning to sort through it all.
Right.
But that's what makes these deep dives so fascinating.
Right.
We get to explore these complex issues, consider different perspectives, and try to make sense of it all.
Exactly. And as this story continues to develop, it's crucial to stay informed, to critically analyze the information that's out there, and to engage in thoughtful discussions about the implications of these global shifts.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Until next time, listener, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.